Have you ever reached for a jar on a high shelf and felt a twinge of uncertainty in your strength? Or perhaps you've noticed that carrying your groceries from the car to the kitchen seems to require more effort than it once did. Zeros. These small moments are not merely random symptoms of getting older. They are often the first quiet signals of a profound yet manageable change happening within our muscles. For decades, the conversation around healthy eating in later life has been dominated by warnings about fat, salt, and sugar. We were told to eat less red meat and to be cautious with calories. Protein was rarely the star of the show. If anything, it was seen as something to moderate. Yet, a quiet revolution has been taking place in nutritional science, and it has a direct and urgent message for anyone over the age of 60. The old advice, it turns out, was not just incomplete. It was likely wrong. The standard number you may have heard for years is the official Recommended Dietary Allowance, or RDA, for protein, 8 grams per kilogram of body weight. For a 150-pound person, that is about 55 grams of protein per day. It is important to understand where this number came from. It was established primarily to prevent protein deficiency in the general, largely sedentary, adult population. It is the minimum amount you need to not get sick. It was never designed to promote optimal health, strength, and function, especially not in an older body. Newer, more rigorous research has challenged this number directly. In 2013, an international group of experts called the PROT-AGE Study Group published consensus recommendations in the Journal of the American Medical Directors Association. 8-gram figure was insufficient for older adults. 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, 5 grams per kilogram. This is not a trivial increase. It is a 50 to 80% jump from the old RDA. Subsequent research has only strengthened this position. A landmark 2015 meta-analysis from researchers at McMaster University, led by Dr. Stuart Phillips, looked at dozens of studies. 6 grams per kilogram per day, when combined with resistance exercise, were most effective for preserving muscle mass and strength in older individuals. The evidence is now so robust that it represents a true paradigm shift in gerontology and nutrition. The question is no longer if older adults need more protein, but precisely how much and how to get it. This matters so profoundly after 60 because of a specific physiological process. As we age, our bodies undergo a gradual, involuntary loss of skeletal muscle mass, strength, and function. The scientific term for this is sarcopenia. Beginning as early as our 30s, we can lose between 3 and 8% of our muscle mass per decade, and this rate of loss tends to accelerate after age 60. Sarcopenia is a primary reason why falls become more common and more dangerous, why recovery from an illness or surgery takes longer, and why tasks that once felt effortless begin to feel like a struggle. Think of your muscles as a construction site. After a meal containing protein or after a session of exercise, your body receives a signal to build and repair muscle tissue. This is the anabolic or building process. In younger adults, this signaling system is very sensitive. A relatively small amount of protein can trigger a robust muscle-building response. However, as we age, our muscles become resistant to this signal. They become a little hard of hearing. It takes a larger dose of protein to get their attention and flip the same anabolic switch. The same meal that would cause a strong muscle-building response in a 30-year-old might elicit only a weak response, or no response at all, in a 70-year-old. This is anabolic resistance. 8 grams per kilogram is not enough to overcome this resistance and stimulate the necessary muscle protein synthesis to maintain your strength and vitality. So, what should you actually do? The first step is to calculate your own personal protein target. 6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. First, find your weight in kilograms. 2. For example, a person who weighs 175 pounds is about 80 kilograms, 6-gram level. Now, this may sound like a very large number, especially compared to the 64 grams suggested by the old RDA, but it is entirely achievable with some mindful planning. The second step is to focus on how you distribute that protein throughout the day. Because of anabolic resistance, it is critical to consume a sufficient amount of protein at each meal to trigger muscle synthesis. The research suggests a target of at least 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein per meal. Spreading your intake evenly is less important than ensuring each major meal hits this threshold. What does 30 grams of protein look like? It is about a 4-ounce serving of chicken breast, salmon, or lean beef. It is 1 cup of Greek yogurt mixed with a small handful of almonds. It is a 3-egg omelette with cheese. A can of tuna has nearly 40 grams. For those on a plant-based diet, it requires more diligence. 1 cup of cooked lentils provides about 18 grams, so you would need to combine it with other sources like tofu or quinoa to reach the 30-gram threshold. It is also wise to pay attention to a specific amino acid called leucine. Leucine is the primary driver of muscle protein synthesis. It's the specific key that turns the ignition. Animal-based proteins like whey, meat, fish, and eggs are very rich in leucine. Plant sources contain it as well, but generally in smaller amounts, so larger servings may be needed. Finally, and this is non-negotiable, you must combine your increased protein intake with resistance exercise. Protein provides the building blocks, but exercise provides the signal that tells the body where to use them. Resistance exercise is simply any activity that asks your muscles to work against a force. This could be lifting weights, using elastic bands, or performing bodyweight exercises like squats, lunges, and push-ups against a wall. 2 to 3 sessions per week are a powerful complement to a higher protein diet. I should add one important caveat. If you have been diagnosed with moderate to severe chronic kidney disease, these higher protein recommendations may need to be modified. In that specific case, it is essential to work directly with your physician or a registered dietitian to find a protein level that is safe for you. With this new information, it is helpful to look at some common practices that might be undermining your efforts to stay strong. The first and most common mistake is simply continuing to follow the outdated advice. Many people are still under the impression that 50 or 60 grams of protein is sufficient. 8 grams per kilogram is not designed for your optimal health after 60. It was a number for preventing deficiency, not promoting function. The second mistake is an unfounded fear that higher protein intake is bad for the kidneys. For decades, it was thought that high-protein diets placed a strain on healthy kidneys. However, extensive research, including a large 2018 review in the Journal of the American Society of Nephrology, has shown that for individuals with healthy kidney function, higher protein intakes are perfectly safe and do not cause kidney damage. The caution applies only to those with pre-existing significant kidney disease. Another common pitfall is backloading protein at the end of the day. Many people eat a low-protein breakfast, such as toast or cereal, a moderate lunch, and then a very large, protein-heavy dinner. Because of anabolic resistance, this pattern is not optimal. The small amount of protein at breakfast is likely insufficient to stimulate muscle growth. And while the large dinner portion will certainly provide a stimulus, you cannot make up for the opportunities missed earlier in the day. Aiming for that 30-gram target at breakfast, lunch, and dinner is a much more effective strategy. Finally, do not make the mistake of thinking you can eat your way to stronger muscles without effort. Protein and exercise are partners. You can consume all the high-quality protein in the world, but without the stimulus of resistance training, your body will lack the clear instructions to use those building blocks to fortify your muscles. The two together create a synergy that is more powerful than either one alone. Thinking about protein this way is not about becoming a bodybuilder or chasing an unrealistic image of youth. It is about something far more fundamental. It is about building a reserve of strength, a physical savings account that you can draw upon to remain capable, independent, and resilient for all the years to come. 0S.